Hi everyone. In a previous video, we looked at how we can generate simulation outputs and kind of make them analysis friendly format, right? So we had an XML file and then we converted to CSV file and then we combined everything together using pandas and had one data frame. And then using that, we created this visualization. Um, so then in this video, what we are going to look at is how we can evaluate another scenario uh, on this. And then we go through the entire modeling pipeline and then run the simulation again and generating simulation outputs and then also process them and then visualize them. So that's what we are going to look at in this video. So the case that I'm trying to evaluate is something like this. Suppose now now we have a vehicle type distribution here, and using that, let's say portion of these vehicles, let's say converted to electric vehicles. So if that is the case, what will happen to the total emissions? Let's say we'll focus only on carbon dioxide emissions. So that is what we are going to look at, right? So in order to do so, if you look at the entire pipeline that we have generated so far, so we don't need any changes to do in um, generating the whitelist, right? Because that we can treat that as the same. But in the root sampler, as you see here, um, the vehicle type distribution changes, right? Because of that, we might need to do some changes over here. And also, let's say the buses, also portion of the buses are, let's say, let's make them electric buses. If that is the case, we may need to do some changes in the bus flow as well. And also, now with that, using these two, we can generate two different configuration files. Let's say run simulation base and then run simulation, let's say EV. So then we need to run both the scenarios together, right? I mean, multiple seeds, and then generate the simulation outputs. And finally, you know, uh, do generate the outputs and then do the reprocessing part and then do the visualizations, right? So let's try it, right? So since it might take bit of time to run it, right? I'll be limiting this to like 5 simulation runs, so two, sorry, 5 each. So then again, anyways, I'm running uh 10 simulation runs. I guess that should be okay. um yeah, so let's see how we can do this then, right? So we'll start off with the by changing the vehicle type distribution. That is the easiest one, I guess, we can do. uh, so let's say we'll take a copy of this and then let's paste it, and then let me rename this as let's say vehicle type distribution for electric vehicles, right? So let's just add EV over there. And also, okay, this is double underscore. Let me correct that. Yeah. Yeah. So now here, let's change the ID to EV. And now let's say from passenger cars, out of this, right? Let's say 5% of it is changed to electric vehicles. Not like 5% out of 31%, but just simply for simplicity, let's say we change this to 26, right? And then change this to 0.05. Right. So now here the trick is that, or rather, the additional change that we need to bring in is that these vehicles, right? So this is a car, and this is a car, let's say EV, and let's say the rest of the things remain the same. Let's like length and width and everything, max speed and acceleration. Those, if you need, you can change them as well. But here, what I'm mostly considering is um, the emissions, right? So for that, you can use, or rather, you can set the emission class, right? So you can find this information in the documentation as well. I'll link those relevant pages in the documentation to the description of the video later. So here, what we need to do is we need to bring in the emission class. So that would be should be energy. So this is all in the documentation of SUMO. Right. So now this is the only change that you had to bring in, so that you have now another vehicle type, or vehicle type basically, that are not based on internal combustion engines, but rather they are based on that's an electric vehicle. So let's say similarly another vehicle type will bring in, let's say three-wheeler, or other tuk-tuks, right? Let's say we have a, a new technology comes, and electric tuk-tuks are introduced. So then let's say uh, three-wheeler EVs, and then let's again then say 15%. Oh, sorry. Again, 15% of the total split is regular three-wheelers, and out of which again 5% is the new EV three-wheelers. And here again, you need to set the emission class to energy. So that's the only change that you have to do over here. Let's close these. And so then if you look at the bus lines also, we need to do a change. So let's take a copy of this file and then paste it over here. And let's say, let's rename this as bus lines EV, right? So then if you look at this again, say let's say long distance buses, let's say converting to EV is not feasible, right? Because of the distance that they travel and whatever the reasons that would be. But let's say the short distance bus, right, the urban, like within the city, the bus line that is run. Let's say we introduce new set of buses, right? So out of every, let's say every two turns, every two bus trips, one of which will become a electric vehicle. So then let's say for let's say short distance, let's say ICE, and let's say 100 EV. Both are buses, vehicle class is bus, but the period is now this one of these bus will come every 4 minutes, and one of this bus will also come in every 4 minutes. So let's say in combination every 2 minutes you have alternatively an ICE and an EV in the system. So let's change the color. Let's say this is red, and let's say this is blue, and let's say this one is red and blue, right? A purple bus, right? So we'll keep it like that. But before, there's one more additional change to bring in, is that this bus, EV bus, has to be a um, has to be a has to have an emission class that is represent the electric vehicles. So here, I guess the change. Uh, yeah, it has to be on the PT lines. Mm, then that there's no other change. Right, so let's try it. I guess here emission plus energy. Sorry, it's not here. It should be here. Right, so let's put that. Yeah, so I guess that is also okay. If there's any changes, we'll see how it executes, and then we can do required changes. And then so we have bus stops doesn't change, and I guess now I can create another. Let's look at the demand generation part. So let's keep route whitelist as the same, and route sampler. Let's create route sampler base, as well as route sampler for EV. So let's take a copy of this, paste it over here. Um, so traffic counts will be the same. Output file mapped is the same, but this will become EV now. So that will be sampled through the vehicle type distribution of electric vehicles. All that includes the electric vehicles. Similarly, let's take a copy of this and then paste it over here. And so bus lines will be bus lines EV, right? This one. And then bus stops begin through the stop duration, bus demand. This becomes also EV. So route sampler base. So, oh, sorry, there's an error here. This has to be EV. This has to be EV. This is the base. This is EV. This is EV. So I guess that is okay. I guess for the benefit of the time, I think I earlier mentioned 5 runs, but let's reduce it to 3. Okay. Then we will run this also over here. Let's say EV, and then multiple runs EV, and let's change the configuration to this one to base, this one to EV. That means I need to rename, or rather take a copy of this and then paste it, and then rename this to EV, and also this to base. Right, so in the base, nothing changes much other than the name of the file, and this will become EV. This will become also EV. And for the emission output generator also, I need to do a change here. Let's rename it as EV, and let's go to emissions, and let's take a copy of this file. Okay, let's let's paste it over here, and let's rename it as EV. Right, so I mean nothing much changes here other than the file name. Output will be emission output for EV, right? So this is helpful when later we process the outputs. I guess, yeah, okay. Um, let's take one more time. EV. Yeah, three of them. EV is uh yeah. Uh, map private vehicles. Let's say this is EV, and this is base. Uh, so then again, this will map private vehicles EV, and this mapped private vehicles base. So you need to make sure that you do all the changes. This how to keep in mind, or rather have a checklist, small checklist, and make sure that all the changes are made accordingly. So let's try to run this and see. And also just to um, keep things, you know, I'll delete this, right? So this, and probably I don't think I'll also delete these two because new files will be generated. Whitelist, let's keep it as is. So let's try run this and see. I think this should run fairly fast. Mm, all right. So in the results, yeah. So you see the results are generated for the base scenario, and once that is run, results should be generated for the electric vehicle scenario as well. Yeah, so I guess I ran three for the base, and the remaining three should be for EVs. Let's see. Yeah, so you see the EV result is also generated. So if I open an EV result, then you will be seeing something like this, right? You see the electricity usage as well. You will electricity usage per vehicle. So these earlier those were null values, or rather zeros. The outputs were. So yeah. So I guess things are okay so far. guess it's the last run. Yeah, so that's done. So then what we have to do is we need to see how best we can process these outputs, right? For which, yeah, I think I need to close these two. No longer required. So this one over here. Yeah, so let's see. So let's generate it for three runs, right? Three random seeds now. And here, I think I need to introduce another loop, right? Because here, if you look at the way which the scenarios change is based on this last or other suffix base and ev. So therefore, I add a new variable, or rather new variable here. Let's say scenarios, and I'll add those suffixes base and ev. And let's say for each random number and for each scenario, I will execute these steps, right? Uh, so also, so here instead of base, I will add scenario, right? So this will be added over here, and also this will become scenario, random number, and also I add a I add a new column also named scenario, so that I also can keep a track of which scenario these results belong to. So run emission always, let's rename these two scenarios, and let's see whether we get the intended output. Yeah, so those are changed now, I guess, inside the processed results. Yeah, so you have it. See, for the base scenario and EV scenario, you have the outputs, right? So now we can take it for the visualization layer. Now, let's say, let me use the, yeah, so there's a slight change, right? So let's say remove the base here. We'll write it to something called scenarios. Let me run it again just for that. Things are, yeah, so I'll remove this one. And let's for the visualization purposes, let's create this one, right? I guess I need to start from the beginning. Yeah, and here random seed and also scenarios I'll keep, or rather scenario. Yeah, scenario. And then this is how it looks like, right? And the kilograms in carbon dioxide remains the same. I mean, you don't need to do any change over here. But here, since I'm visualizing on the same graph, I can use the hue parameter and provide the scenario. Right, so now you see that after a couple of like small changes, now the for each scenario the different color is represented, right? For example, EV and base. Now you see now the EVs are introduce, the emissions are reduced. Obviously, it is reduced, but we didn't know how to quantify how much it would be. So this kind of a method can be used to calculate that, right? So any scenario that you could think of, you can add the required files and then run it, and generate the outputs, and compare them. Here I have used simple graph like a line chart, but you can use other required or appropriate visualizations for your analysis or comparisons. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to show in this video. I hope you found this useful, and if you feel like this content is useful, please consider subscribing to my channel. So with this, I the content that I have planned for the entire cycle, which is like starting from the network, generating demand for private vehicles, passenger transport, and public transport, and then combining things all together, running the simulation, generating an output, and then run scenarios on top of that, right? So all the aspects required to sumo are I try to discuss using a case. So there could be other aspects that I was I didn't touch in this particular video series. But if you feel there's something that you need to um, you need to get more understanding of, or if you need a small tutorial of me showing you how to do it, please let me know in the comment section. Yeah, so that's about it for this entire series, and hope you have enjoyed it. Thanks, and we'll see you with some other playlist or other videos. So keep in touch with my channel.